The email pinged at 2:17 a.m., shattering the silence of my apartment. "We're done, Ellie. I'm with Sophia now." My heart stopped. My fiancé, Mark, had sent those words, and my younger sister, Sophia, was the thief who'd stolen him. I sat frozen on my couch, the glow of my laptop burning my eyes. 3 years with Mark, planning our wedding, dreaming of a family, erased in a single sentence. Sophia, my dazzling, manipulative sister, had always craved what was mine. But this was a knife to the soul. I reread the email, each word a fresh wound. My phone buzzed next, a text from Sophia. "Sorry, sis. He loves me. You'll get over it." The audacity of her casual cruelty made my hands tremble. I wanted to scream, to call her and demand answers, but instead, I shut my laptop and stared into the dark. Tomorrow, I'd face them all, Mark, Sophia, and the parents who always favored her. Morning came too fast. I drove to my parents' house, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Their sprawling suburban home, where Sophia and I grew up, loomed like a courtroom. I hadn't slept, but adrenaline fueled me. Inside, my parents sat at the kitchen table, their faces tight with discomfort. Sophia lounged on a stool, her blonde hair perfect, her smile smug. Mark stood beside her, avoiding my gaze. "Ellie, sit down," Mom said, her voice clipped. "We need to talk." "Talk?" I snapped, my voice sharper than I intended. "You mean justify why my sister stole my fiancé and you're all okay with it?" Dad sighed, rubbing his temples. "Don't be dramatic. Sophia and Mark, it just happened. They're in love." "Love?" I laughed bitterly. "She's been flirting with him for months, and you all ignored it. Now you're on her side." Sophia rolled her eyes. "You're so pathetic, Ellie, always playing the victim. Mark chose me because I'm not useless." That word, useless, hit like a slap. It was their favorite insult for me growing up. Sophia was the golden child. Charming, beautiful, the one who could do no wrong. I was the quiet, awkward one, always in her shadow. Useless was what they called me when I didn't get into Sophia's Ivy League college. When I chose a boring tech job over her glamorous influencer gigs. They didn't know I was earning $50,000 a month as a freelance cybersecurity consultant, working with Fortune 500 companies. They didn't know because they never asked. "Useless," I said, my voice low but steady. "You have no idea who I am." Mom waved a hand dismissively. "Ellie, stop. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Sophia and Mark are happy. Let them be." I looked at Mark, his jaw tight, his eyes on the floor. "You have nothing to say? After 3 years, you just leave me for her?" He mumbled, "It's not like that. I didn't mean to hurt you." "Didn't mean to?" I stepped closer, my voice rising. "You proposed to me, Mark. We were planning a life. And you—" I turned to Sophia. "You knew that. You still went after him." Sophia shrugged. "If you were enough for him, he wouldn't have looked at me." The room spun. My parents' silence was deafening. They didn't correct her, didn't defend me. I felt like I was 15 again, crying in my room while they praised Sophia's latest achievement. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I straightened, wiping the tears threatening to spill. "You'll regret this," I said quietly, my words aimed at all of them. "All of you." I left without another word, the door slamming behind me. Back in my car, I gripped the steering wheel, my chest heaving. They thought they'd broken me, but they were wrong. I wasn't useless. I was powerful, wealthy, and done being their punching bag. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Sophia. "Grow up, Ellie. You can't compete with me." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and started planning. They wanted to play dirty? I'd show them what I was capable of. My first step was simple: expose the truth. Sophia's influencer empire was built on lies, fake followers, paid reviews, and a carefully curated facade. I'd been protecting her secrets for years, out of some twisted sisterly loyalty. No more. I spent the day digging into her digital footprint. As a cybersecurity expert, I knew where to look. Her accounts, her emails, her shady deals. By evening, I had a folder of evidence. Screenshots of her buying followers, emails promising fake endorsements, even a chat where she bragged about seducing Mark to prove she could. My hands shook as I read that one. She didn't even love him. She just wanted to win. But I didn't stop there. Mark wasn't innocent either. He'd been cheating on me for months, lying about late nights at work while meeting Sophia. I found his dating app profiles, still active even now. He wasn't just a cheater. He was a coward, stringing us both along. My parents, too, would face consequences. They'd spent years dismissing me, funneling money to Sophia's career while ignoring mine. I'd never told them about my success, my six-figure savings, my investments. They didn't deserve to know yet. That night, I drafted an email to Sophia's biggest sponsor, attaching a few choice screenshots. I didn't send it, not yet. I wanted her to feel the ground shift first, to wonder when the blow would come. For Mark, I had other plans. His company relied on my firm for cybersecurity. A quiet word to his boss about his extracurricular activities could cost him his job. As for my parents, I'd let them stew in their favoritism until I was ready to reveal my truth. By midnight, my plan was taking shape. I wasn't just fighting for revenge. I was fighting for myself. For the Ellie who'd been called useless one too many times. For the woman who'd built a life they couldn't even fathom. This was only the beginning. The next morning, I woke to a voicemail from Mom. "Ellie, you're being childish. Come back and apologize to your sister." I deleted it without a second thought. Apologize? For what? Being betrayed. I brewed coffee, the bitter scent grounding me as I opened my laptop. Today, I'd tighten the screws. Sophia's online presence was her lifeblood. Her 500,000 followers. Most of them bought. Fueled her sponsorships, her ego, everything. I'd always known her brand was a house of cards. But now I was ready to knock it down. I logged into a burner account I'd created years ago for testing hacks. Anonymous, untraceable. I uploaded a single screenshot to a gossip forum popular with her audience. Sophia boasting in a private chat about faking her engagement photos with Mark for clout. "He's so easy to manipulate," she'd written. The post went live at 9:43 a.m. By noon, it had 200 comments, fans demanding answers. I didn't stop there. I sent an anonymous tip to a blogger who specialized in exposing influencer scams, attaching evidence of Sophia's purchased followers. I wasn't cruel enough to leak everything, not yet. I wanted her to squirm, to check her phone obsessively, wondering who was out to get her. Let her think it was a random troll. She'd never suspect me. Meanwhile, I turned my attention to Mark. His betrayal stung deeper than Sophia's. She was always a snake, but he'd been my partner. I pulled up his company's cybersecurity contract with my firm. A few clicks confirmed he was still using their systems for personal emails, sloppy but typical Mark. I found a thread of messages between him and Sophia, planning secret meetups while I was working late. My stomach churned, but I saved every word. His boss would love to see this, especially since their company had a strict ethics policy. I drafted a professional email, vague but damning, hinting at unprofessional conduct by one of their employees. I scheduled it to send in 48 hours, giving myself time to decide. My parents were trickier. They weren't on social media, so public shaming wouldn't work. But they'd always valued appearances, perfect family, perfect daughters. I knew their weak spot, pride. They bragged about Sophia to their friends, their church group, their neighbors. What if those friends learned their golden child was a fraud? I started small, emailing a family friend who loved gossip, casually mentioning Sophia's questionable business practices. I didn't need to say much, the rumor mill would do the rest. By afternoon, my phone was buzzing. Sophia had posted a cryptic Instagram story. "Haters will always try to bring you down. Stay shining." I smirked. She was rattled. Good. I checked the gossip forum. Her fans were turning, some unfollowing, others tagging her sponsors. The blogger had posted a teaser, Big influencer expose coming soon. Sophia's perfect world was cracking, and she didn't even know I was the one holding the hammer. But something gnawed at me. Revenge felt good, but it wasn't enough. I wanted them to see me, not the useless Ellie, but the woman I'd become. I opened my banking app, staring at the balance. $327,000 in savings, not counting investments. I'd built this quietly, working nights, taking risks, while they mocked my nerdy job. They thought I was scraping by, living in a modest apartment to save face. The truth would hit harder than any expose. I decided to confront them again, but on my terms. I texted Mom, "Dinner at my place tomorrow. 7 p.m. Bring Dad and Sophia. Mark too, if he dares." She replied instantly, "Don't be ridiculous, Ellie. We're not playing your games." I typed back, "You'll want to hear this. Trust me." No response. They'd come. I knew their curiosity would win. That evening I prepared. My apartment wasn't flashy, but it was mine, paid for in cash. I set the dining table with simple elegance. White plates, a bottle of wine, my laptop ready. I wasn't cooking to impress them. I ordered takeout from their favorite Italian place. The gesture wasn't kindness. It was strategy. Let them walk in expecting a pity party, only to have their world flipped. As I worked, I thought about Sophia's betrayal. We'd never been close, but I'd protected her. When she got caught cheating in high school, I covered for her. When she needed money for her brand, I lent it, no questions asked. And Mark, I trusted him completely. His quiet charm, his promises of forever, all lies. My parents' favoritism was the final blow. They'd never once asked about my life, my dreams. They assumed I had none. The next day, I dressed carefully. Tailored blazer, jeans, my hair loose but polished. I looked like the woman I was, successful, confident, not their punching bag. At 6:55 p.m., the doorbell rang. My heart raced, but I was ready. They walked in. Mom and Dad, stiff and judgmental. Sophia, smirking. Mark, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Nice place," Sophia said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Still renting, huh?" I smiled. "Sit down. We have a lot to discuss." Dinner was tense, the air thick with unspoken accusations. Sophia picked at her pasta, her eyes darting to her phone every few seconds. She'd seen the online chatter. I could tell her perfect facade was crumbling. Mom and Dad sat rigid, their disapproval palpable. Mark barely touched his food, his face pale. I let the silence stretch, savoring their discomfort. "Thanks for coming," I said finally, my voice calm but firm. "I wanted to clear the air." Mom scoffed. "Ellie, this is unnecessary. You need to move on." "Move on." I leaned forward, locking eyes with her. "You think I should just accept that my sister stole my fiancé and you're all cheering her on?" Sophia rolled her eyes. "God, you're so dramatic." "It's not my fault Mark wanted me." I turned to Mark. "Is that true? You wanted her? Or did she just make it easy for you to be a coward?" He flinched, his fork clattering against his plate. "Ellie, I didn't. Save it." I cut him off. "I know about your late-night meetings. I have the emails, Mark. And your dating app profiles. Still active, by the way." His eyes widened, and Sophia's smirk faltered. Mom snapped, "That's enough, Ellie. Stop this nonsense." "Nonsense?" I stood, grabbing my laptop. "Let's talk about nonsense." Like Sophia's fake followers, her paid reviews, her entire career built on lies. Sophia laughed, but it was forced. "You're jealous. You've always been jealous." I opened my laptop, pulling up the gossip forum. "Am I? Then why are your fans turning on you? Why are your sponsors asking questions?" I turned the screen toward her, showing the screenshot of her boasting about manipulating Mark. Her face drained of color. "Where did you get that?" she whispered. "I'm good at my job," I said simply. "Unlike you, I don't need to fake it. Dad slammed his hand on the table. Ellie, stop this. You're embarrassing yourself. Embarrassing myself? I laughed, the sound sharp and cold. You've spent years calling me useless, Dad. You and Mom never asked about my life. You assumed I was nothing because I didn't flaunt it like Sophia. But you're wrong. I opened my banking app, turning the screen to show my savings. $327,000. Their eyes widened, but I wasn't done. I pulled up my client list, major corporations, government contracts, names they'd recognize. I make $50,000 a month. More than any of you could dream of. I've been doing it for years, while you mocked me. Mom's mouth opened, but no words came out. Sophia stared at the screen, her bravado gone. Mark looked like he wanted to disappear. Dad's face reddened, but he stayed silent. I didn't tell you because I didn't need your approval, I continued. But I'm done letting you treat me like I'm less. Sophia, you took Mark because you could, not because you love him. Mark, you're a spineless opportunist. And you too. I turned to my parents. You picked your favorite daughter and left me to drown. Well, I'm not drowning anymore. The room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioner. Sophia's phone buzzed, and she flinched, glancing at it. I knew what she'd see. More comments, more accusations. The blogger had just posted her exposé, right on schedule. You did this? Sophia hissed, her voice shaking. You're trying to ruin me. No, I said. You ruined yourself. I just let the truth out. Mark stood, his chair scraping the floor. Ellie, I'm sorry. I didn't know. You didn't know what? I snapped. That I was worth something? Or that you'd get caught? He didn't answer, just grabbed his jacket and left. Sophia followed, her heels clicking furiously. My parents stayed, their faces a mix of shock and shame. Ellie, Dad said finally, his voice softer. We didn't know. You didn't want to know, I replied. You made your choice. Now live with it. They left soon after, the door closing quietly behind them. I stood alone in my apartment, the takeout containers still on the table. My heart pounded, but I felt lighter than I had in years. I'd spent so long hiding my strength, trying to keep the peace. No more. The next day, I sent the email to Mark's boss. By evening, he'd been suspended pending an investigation. Sophia's sponsors started pulling out, her follower count plummeting. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The truth was enough. But I wasn't done. I wanted more than revenge. I wanted a life free of their poison. I started planning my next move. A new city, a fresh start. My success was mine, and I'd build on it without their shadows. For the first time, I felt truly free. The fallout was swift and brutal. By the end of the week, Sophia's Instagram was a ghost town. Down 100,000 followers. Her comments flooded with accusations of fraud. Her biggest sponsor, a luxury skincare brand, publicly dropped her, citing ethical concerns. She posted a tearful video, claiming she was being cyberbullied. But it only fueled the fire. The internet doesn't forgive easily, and neither did I. Mark's suspension turned into termination. His company's ethics board didn't take kindly to his behavior, especially after I leaked a few more emails showing he'd used work resources to plan his trysts with Sophia. He tried calling me, leaving voicemails begging for forgiveness, but I blocked his number. He didn't deserve my time. My parents were quieter. Mom sent a text. Can we talk? We're sorry. I didn't reply. Their apology felt hollow, too little too late. They'd spent years building Sophia up while tearing me down. A single text couldn't undo that. I threw myself into work, taking on new clients, pushing my monthly income past $60,000. My apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage. I needed a change, something bold. I started researching cities, Seattle, Austin, Denver, places where I could reinvent myself. I'd always played small to avoid their judgment, but no more. I was done shrinking. One evening, as I scrolled through real estate listings, my phone rang. It was Lisa, a childhood friend who'd always been kind to me. Ellie, what's going on with Sophia? The internet's tearing her apart. I hesitated, then told her everything. Mark's betrayal, Sophia's scheming, my parents' favoritism. Lisa listened, her gasps punctuating my story. I had no idea you were so successful, she said finally. Why didn't you tell anyone? I didn't think anyone cared, I admitted. They all saw me as the loser sister. You're not a loser, Lisa said fiercely. Come over tomorrow. Let's talk. Her support caught me off guard. I'd isolated myself, assuming no one would understand. The next day, over coffee at her place, Lisa urged me to tell my story, not for revenge, but for closure. People need to know who you are, Ellie, not just what Sophia did. I wasn't ready to go public, but her words planted a seed. What if I stopped hiding? What if I owned my success, my pain, my truth? I went home and started writing not a tell-all, but a blog post about resilience, about building a life despite betrayal. I didn't name Sophia or Mark, but the subtext was clear. I posted it anonymously on a platform for professionals, expecting a few views. Within hours, it had hundreds of shares, comments praising my strength. The response stunned me. Strangers reached out, sharing their own stories of family drama, of being underestimated. For the first time, I felt seen, not as Sophia's sister, but as Ellie, the woman who'd fought her way up. I kept writing, each post a step toward healing. My followers grew, not in the fake way Sophia's had, but organically, built on truth. Meanwhile, Sophia's life continued to unravel. She tried to pivot, posting about mental health breaks, but her audience wasn't buying it. My parents called again, this time leaving a voicemail together. Ellie, we were wrong. Please, let's fix this. I still didn't respond, but their words lingered. Part of me wanted to believe they could change, but trust was hard to rebuild. I decided to test them. I invited them to a neutral spot, a cafe downtown, for a conversation. No Sophia, no Mark. They showed up looking older, weary. Dad spoke first. We didn't know how much we hurt you. We're proud of you, Ellie. Proud, I said, my voice steady. You never asked about my life. You assumed I was nothing. Mom's eyes filled with tears. We were wrong. Sophia, she was easier to understand. You were always so quiet, so private. That's no excuse, I said. You chose her over me every time. They didn't argue. Dad reached for my hand, but I pulled back. I need time, I told them. You don't get to apologize and expect everything to be okay. They nodded, defeated. As they left, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I didn't hate them, but I didn't need them either. I had my own life now, one they couldn't touch. Back home, I booked a trip to Seattle, a scouting mission for my new start. I wasn't running away. I was running towards something better. My blog was gaining traction, my clients were thrilled, and I was finally free of their shadows. But Sophia wasn't done yet, and I knew she'd come for me soon. Sophia's retaliation came faster than I expected. A week after our confrontation, she posted a video, a tearful, calculated performance. My sister's trying to destroy me, she sobbed, claiming I'd hacked her accounts and spread lies out of jealousy. She didn't name me, but the implication was clear. Her remaining fans rallied, flooding my anonymous blog with hateful comments. You're pathetic, one wrote. Stop attacking her. I wasn't surprised, she'd always played the victim. But I was prepared. I'd kept records of everything. Her chats, her deals, her betrayal. I didn't respond publicly. Instead, I sent a cease and desist letter through a lawyer friend, warning her against defamation. The letter was formal, professional, and anonymous. She'd know it was me, but she couldn't prove it. The video came down within hours. Her silence didn't last. She texted me, "You think you're so smart. I'll ruin you." I didn't reply. Let her try. I was untouchable now, my clients were loyal, my income secure. She had no leverage, and she knew it. Meanwhile, my blog was thriving. I wrote about overcoming betrayal, about finding strength in silence. Companies reached out, offering speaking gigs, consulting contracts. I said yes to a tech conference in Seattle, a chance to network and explore the city. The trip was a revelation. Seattle's vibrant tech scene, its coffee shops, its mountains. I could see myself here, starting over, free from the past. Back home, I got an unexpected call from Mark's sister, Jenna. "I heard what happened," she said. "I'm so sorry. He's a mess now. Lost his job, living with our parents." I didn't care about Mark's suffering, but Jenna's kindness surprised me. She'd always been neutral, caught between loyalty to her brother and fairness to me. "You deserve better," she said. "If you ever need to talk, I'm here." Her words stayed with me. I'd lost so much, my fiancé, my family, but I was gaining something new, a community that valued me. I started connecting with other women in tech, sharing stories, building friendships. My blog became a platform not just for my story, but for others who'd been underestimated. My parents tried again, inviting me to dinner. I agreed, but only at the cafe. They were softer this time, less defensive. Mom admitted they'd been dazzled by Sophia's charm, blind to her flaws. Dad said they'd cut her off financially. She was floundering without their support. I listened, but I didn't forgive. Not yet. "I'm moving," I told them. "Seattle, maybe. I need a fresh start." Mom's face fell. "You're leaving us?" "I'm leaving your drama," I corrected. "You can be part of my life, but only if you respect me." They nodded, but I saw the doubt in their eyes. They weren't used to this Ellie, the one who set boundaries, who didn't beg for their love. I left the cafe feeling lighter, like I'd finally shed their weight. Sophia's next move was desperate. She showed up at my apartment, unannounced, her eyes red from crying. "You win, okay?" she said. "I'm sorry. Just stop." "Stop what?" I asked, crossing my arms. "Telling the truth? You're ruining my life," she shouted. "I have nothing now." "You had everything," I said. "You chose to take what was mine. You don't get to cry about consequences." She begged, promising to change, to give Mark back, like he was a toy she could return. I laughed, shutting the door in her face. I didn't want Mark. I didn't want her apologies. I wanted my freedom. The next day, I accepted the Seattle speaking gig and started apartment hunting. My blog hit 10,000 followers, and a publisher reached out about a book deal. I was building something real, something mine. Sophia's world was collapsing, but mine was just beginning. I still checked her social media, not out of spite but curiosity. She'd pivoted to authenticity, posting about her struggles. It wasn't working. Her audience could smell the desperation. My parents called again, asking to visit. I said I'd think about it. Maybe one day, but not now. As I packed for Seattle, I felt a pang of sadness. Not for them, but for the girl I used to be. She'd believed she needed their approval, their love. Now I knew better. I was enough. Seattle was everything I'd hoped for. The city buzzed with possibility. Tech startups, crisp air, and a skyline that felt like a promise. I rented a sleek apartment downtown, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Puget Sound. My first night, I stood on the balcony, the wind cool against my skin, and felt something I hadn't in years: peace. The tech conference was a triumph. I spoke about cybersecurity but wove in my story resilience, betrayal, reclaiming power. The audience gave a standing ovation, and afterward, women crowded around, sharing their own battles. I'd never felt so connected, so seen. A startup CEO offered me a partnership on the spot. $100,000 a month to consult exclusively for them. I said I'd consider it. For the first time, I wasn't chasing money, I was chasing purpose. Back home, my blog was nearing 50,000 followers. The publisher pushed harder for the book deal, suggesting a memoir, From Useless to Unstoppable. I liked the title, but I wasn't ready to bare my soul completely. I agreed to a meeting, keeping my options open. My life was mine to shape now, no one else's. Sophia's spiral continued. She'd moved back in with my parents, her influencer career dead. I heard through Lisa that she was working a retail job, her confidence shattered. Part of me pitied her. She'd built her life on quicksand, and it had finally given way. But pity didn't mean forgiveness. She'd made her choices. Mark reached out again, this time through Jenna. "He's in therapy," she said. "He knows he messed up." I thanked her for the update but told her I wasn't interested. Mark was a ghost from a life I'd outgrown. I wished him well, but I didn't need his redemption. My parents were persistent. They sent a letter, not an email, an actual handwritten letter. "We're trying to understand you, Ellie," they wrote. "We want to be better." It was the first time they'd acknowledged their role without excuses. I didn't write back, but I kept the letter. Maybe one day I'd respond, but I wasn't ready to let them in. I settled into Seattle, building a routine. Morning runs along the waterfront, late nights coding, weekends exploring. I made friends, real ones, not the fake followers Sophia chased. They didn't know my past, and I liked it that way. I was Ellie, the cybersecurity expert, the speaker, the woman who laughed easily and lived boldly. But Sophia wasn't done. A month into my new life, she emailed me. A long, rambling message. "I'm sorry, Ellie. I was jealous. You were always so smart, so strong. I wanted to be you, but I couldn't, so I took what was yours." It was the closest she'd come to real remorse, but it felt like too little, too late. I archived the email without replying. She didn't get to rewrite our story just because hers had fallen apart. The book deal came together faster than I expected. I signed a contract agreeing to tell my story, not for revenge but to inspire. Writing was harder than I thought, forcing me to relive the pain, the betrayal. But it was also cathartic, like lancing a wound. I wrote about Sophia, Mark, my parents, but mostly about me, how I'd built a life despite them. One evening, as I worked on a chapter, my phone rang. It was Dad. "Ellie, we're in Seattle. Can we see you?" I froze. They'd flown across the country without asking. Part of me wanted to say no, but curiosity won. "Tomorrow," I said. "Coffee, not dinner. 1 hour." The cafe was crowded, the air thick with espresso and chatter. They looked out of place, nervous. Mom spoke first. "We read your blog. We had no idea, Ellie. You're incredible." I didn't smile. "You could have known. You chose not to." Dad nodded, his eyes downcast. "We failed you. We're trying to make it right." I sipped my coffee, weighing their words. They seemed genuine, but trust was a long road. "I'm not ready to forgive you," I said, "but I'm willing to talk. Small steps." They agreed, grateful for the chance. As they left, I felt a shift. Not love, not yet, but possibility. Maybe we could rebuild, but it would be on my terms. Back at my apartment, I opened my laptop and kept writing. My story wasn't over, it was just beginning. 6 months later, my life was unrecognizable. The book, from useless to unstoppable, hit shelves and climbed bestseller lists. Readers called it raw, inspiring, a testament to resilience. I did a small tour, speaking at bookstores and tech events, each talk cementing my new identity. I wasn't just Ellie, the betrayed sister. I was Ellie, the woman who'd turned pain into power. Seattle became home. I took the startup partnership, scaling back my freelance work to focus on innovation. My team was brilliant, diverse, driven, people who valued me for my mind, not my drama. My apartment was filled with light, plants, and books, a space that reflected who I'd become. I ran every morning, the city's hills challenging my body as much as my past had challenged my spirit. Sophia faded from my life. She emailed occasionally, updates about her job, her therapy, her attempts to rebuild. I read them but didn't respond. Forgiveness wasn't my responsibility. She'd have to earn it, and I wasn't holding my breath. Last I heard, she was dating someone new, someone outside Mark's orbit. I hoped she'd learned, but I didn't care enough to check. Mark disappeared entirely. Jenna said he'd moved to another state, starting over. I wished him no ill, but I felt nothing for him. He was a chapter I'd closed. My parents were the hardest. We met monthly, always in public, always brief. They were trying, reading my book, asking about my work, listening without defending Sophia. It was awkward, sometimes painful, but progress. At our last coffee, Mom handed me a photo from my childhood me, smiling, holding a science fair trophy. "We should have seen you then," she said. I took the photo, my throat tight. It wasn't enough, but it was something. My blog evolved into a platform for women in tech, a space for stories of triumph over doubt. I mentored young coders, spoke at schools, gave scholarships. My wealth grew, but so did my purpose. I donated to causes I cared about, quietly, without fanfare. I didn't need to prove anything anymore. I was living my truth. One evening, as I stood on my balcony watching the sunset, my phone buzzed. A publisher wanted a second book, this time about leadership. I smiled, the wind carrying away the last traces of my old self. I'd been called useless, but I'd built an empire. I'd been betrayed, but I'd found my strength. My family had tried to break me, but I was unbreakable. I typed a quick reply to the publisher. "Let's do it." Then I leaned against the railing, the city sparkling below. This was my life now, bright, bold, and entirely mine. The past was a shadow, and I was standing in the light.